Hello and welcome. In this upload, I'm going to introduce the concept of breaking the spell, which is a concept taught by Neville Goddard in his precursor instructions around the late 50s, early 60s, and which means learning to live imaginatively rather than by relying on what your human senses or your natural instincts tell you or what you think your human capabilities are, generally speaking. As a complement to this upload, I will be uploading an episode of Metaphysical Moments, which is the exercise portion. I do recommend that you listen to this clip first before that one, so that you're able to get straight into the exercise with all of the information you need to make it work for you. So let's dive in. Whatever it is we do throughout the course of an average day, and however it is we live, we have intricate knowledge of the physical world and how it feels to live in it as ourselves. And I'd like to say that if this isn't something that you have ever considered, I do recommend that you give it some thought when you have a chance. Anyway, as I was saying, we know what things feel like physically. We have our emotion-based responses to things that are second nature to us. We have a certain spatial intelligence of our environment, and we have a relationship to the chronology of things. A train schedule, for instance, or the opening hours of the local supermarket, that sort of thing. We also know who to say good morning to and who to avoid. We know the best time to call to get a doctor's appointment or how to dress for the weather, and on and on and on it goes. And so taken together, given the rhythm and flow of our daily lives, the concept of the sorts of things that I've just listed being down to the minutest detail, the product of consciousness in operation, seems inconceivable. This is in part due to the fact that consciousness has been represented for much of the time as something mystical and otherworldly rather than just being the most fundamental thing in existence. For a vast number of people, consciousness, just the very word, is synonymous with spirituality. And so it's sometimes tricky to think of consciousness in operation being actions like brushing your teeth or emptying your bowels, going for a walk, eating a sandwich, watching TV, having sex, talking on the phone, having an argument, baking a cake, paying a bill. But it is those things. All of those things are consciousness in operation. It is everything and everyone. It is you, it is me, it's Kim Jong-un, it's Mother Teresa, it's Cardi B, it's President Trump. It's all of us, anyone you can think of, and everything we do and everything around us all. And as I've said, down to the minutest detail. For this reason, breaking the spell and learning to live imaginatively is our most important lesson while we're here in the physical world. I'm not talking here about what people call manifesting. In fact, manifesting, even when it's treated like a magic trick, is actually far easier to grasp and to do at first than what I'm talking about now. Living imaginatively is the perpetual conscious use of the human imagination, which is itself infinite creative potential. I want to say that one more time. Living imaginatively, which is accomplished through breaking the spell, is the perpetual conscious use, so the continuous conscious use of the human imagination, which we know is God in operation. And the human imagination, as I say, is infinite creative potential. This potential is filtered through us as human beings. Now, because imagination has no form or personality per se, in the way that we understand those things, it is instead just pure, unadulterated, raw, intelligent power. And when it's tempered by our human limitations, our human physicality and our resources and our education and our status in life and all of those things, when it's filtered through us, it takes on the shape of what we perceive to be the individual elements of our physical being and the physical world around us. And as I always say, we use our feelings and the spiritual language of emotion to gauge what this raw energy wants to do as us. Now, the exercise portion of this teaching brings all of this together. So just listen to this again if you need to really feel that you have grasped what I'm saying. As I say, this is an introduction to breaking the spell. It's helping us to distinguish between what it means to live on the basis of objective data rather than what we are being transmitted by consciousness itself, or what's being transmitted to us rather by consciousness itself. Okay, so when our bodies of consciousness transmits the information it does to us, one of two things can happen. We can either interpret the information objectively, or we can interpret it subjectively. If we do it objectively, we use what's familiar to us and we make appropriate decisions based on that. But Neville Goddard tells us that responses based on objective data are severely limited. We're acting on what we know at the time and what we can see and what we believe at the time and what we think we can do by ourselves or by virtue of our resources. And very often when we take this approach, we find ourselves frustrated or panicked, especially when we reach our limits. But the subjective route lets us know that there are solutions we couldn't even begin to conceive of, that barriers disappear, and that even in the most unlikely of circumstances, we find ourselves having, being, and doing everything we need with absolute ease to the mutual benefit of us all. We don't need to coerce or cajole to find ourselves head and shoulders above the crowd. And so at the point at which we find that what others see as problems, we see as opportunities to exercise our imagination lovingly for ourselves or others, and we find that we're hungering for incorporeal things, we know that we have broken the spell. We have completely lost confidence in the systems of the physical world, and we are fully reliant on the power, the infinite, unadulterated power of the invisible world, the world of consciousness. And the beautiful thing is, there's a way to start this process in you if you feel it hasn't begun for you yet. And I'm going to discuss that with you in the accompanying Metaphysical Moments upload. So what I'd like you to do now is listen to this again if you feel you need to. But if you are already familiar with these ideas and you're ready to go, please click on the upload, which is Breaking the Spell Part 2. This is Part 1. And then we'll get into the practicalities of this wonderful idea. So thank you for listening to this. This has been an original Kate Getty presentation. Until next time, stay phenomenally you.